Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
Hello, everybody. This is Orry B from Hoop Social, and I am here with the Creator Hour. We are going to have an excellent show today. We've got Jake from NBA TikTok. We're going to be talking about the early season NBA action, and then we're going to play a little game of Contender, Pretender, For Real, or Just Hype. Let's go. This is where legends reminisce. This is the Creator.
Get your popcorn ready, it's a show you can't miss. Welcome to the Creator Hour, where legends reminisce.
All right, guys. So this is me, Orry. It's been a little while. I'm glad to see you guys once again. This is the Creator Hour, sponsored by Hoop Social here on Sports Fluent TV. So we have a lot to talk about today. I am excited to get to my guest, NBA TikToker Jake, who does a lot of NBA history and stuff. So it'll be fun to talk to him about the current state of the NBA. And that's where I'm going to be going right now. The current state of the NBA. It has been interesting to see some of these teams that have surprised us, some of the teams that have definitely disappointed us, and to see some of the players that have stepped into their own as this new series has blossomed. Certainly been interesting to see where everybody is starting out. The Celtics have been one of those teams where you know they're going to be the team with a target on their back, but they have played very well so far, despite a couple setbacks. Golden State Warriors been playing excellent. Buddy Hield has been a ridiculous shooting threat so far, averaging about 9 threes at almost 52%. I mean, we're seeing some excellent ball, and despite all this, it's interesting because you look at some of the data that's out there, and they say that the viewership ratings for the NBA are actually down. Now, this is in some of the more standard ways of viewing the NBA. So, you know, this is rated on probably Nielsen ratings and some of those things. But it's certainly interesting to see that despite the hype and despite how many eyes we feel are on this game, that maybe there is a particular level of fan that is disappointed in what the current product is. I'm not quite sure if that's the case. We're in a position where we all are going to speculate as basketball fans as to what may be leading to the cause, especially when you see the league dripping with talent at this point from top to bottom. There are so many great players. The parity is there. Just an incredibly talented pool of players right now that everybody is pulling from. I mean, even the worst team on League Pass has a superstar that you could root for or get behind. So we are really in the the peak of what the NBA could be. And that being the case, seeing the viewership ratings go down is a bit disappointing. Not going to lie. I feel like the NBA has a spectacular product. It's a global product. It has evolved. It has a young fan base. This seems like this would lead to all the things that would make the game pop a little bit more. So this is going to be something that I'm going to talk to Jake a little bit about. Maybe get some speculation from him as to why maybe the NBA isn't getting the same ratings as it used to. Maybe people are tired of the 3-point league. Maybe people are expecting a little bit more when it comes to post games and defense and physicality. I know those are some tropes that are thrown around consistently and could be the case. I don't want to automatically assume that is the case, but we have to talk about it. We have to understand, what could be going on in the NBA to lead to lower viewership, and I'm not quite sure. But that being the case, we have to get into my guest here. We have a special guest from NBA TikTok. If you follow NBA TikTok, you might know him already. He does a lot of historical videos, a lot of reels of old basketball players, a lot of great content. He's really articulate and somebody that definitely knows the game. So I want to bring up Jake. Jake, how are you doing today, my guy?
What's going on, man? How you doing? I'm glad to finally be on the show. This is an honor. This is awesome.
I'm really glad to have you on here. Absolutely. I know we've been trying to do this for a little while, so I'm glad we
I
were able
know,
to
I
finally
know.
connect.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming. So yeah.
All right, my guys. So, first question for everybody that comes on the Creator Hour is, in fact, what is it that got you to this point that made you decide that you wanted to create NBA content?
Um, I was thinking about this, like kind of like the origins of wanting to just post these basketball edits, these videos. And do you remember those VHS tapes of Michael Jordan? Like it started off with like "Come Fly with Me," and then there's something else. I can't remember what the titles were, but
Oh, yeah.
within those tapes were like basically mini edits, if you get what I'm saying. Like they would do these little montages of Jordan in the midst of telling this story. And there was always dope eight ladies, early 90s music going along to just Michael doing his thing. But I think it kind of started there, just being a little kid and watching that kind of stuff was dope. And then for sure I have to give some kind of shout out to like wrestling. Like just just them recapping week by week, like I was a big wrestling fan as a kid, and I think like the way that they were doing edits were so epic when I was a kid. Like yeah, man, you felt like the shit was real. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but yeah, it's yeah, and I don't have any kind of social media or anything like that, and TikTok had kind of like just came out, and so I just started kind of from scratch, like just trying to make videos, trying to put like my own chosen clips in some kind of sequential order with maybe music like to complement it, and like when that all comes together, it's a really cool feeling. Like you know um like there are some edits I'm pretty proud of that just came together like smoothly, but a lot of them haven't. um for every one that I feel good about it, it's you might have to post 9 duds in a row where the idea was there but the execution wasn't, if that makes sense. But yeah, I
Sure,
kind of
sure. I mean,
forgot what the question
TikTok's an
was, but
interesting
yeah.
game.
Oh, sorry, my fault. I
No,
didn't mean I didn't mean to cut you off.
you were good. No, 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 my guy, you're good. You're good. I mean, the question was, what got you to TikTok and
Oh,
creating these things? So, I remember those VHS tapes like Airtime and Three
yes,
Peat, and it
yes.
yes, they made the game feel like so epic and like it was a story, and it
Yes, man. And like when they would like recap a game or just show like some highlights of Mike throughout the season, they would always like layer it with like just the most awesome like 80s 90s music, like instrumental
yeah.
shit that you could think of. And it would hype me up as a kid. Like I would for sure get pumped up in the living room, and I'd have to run outside and start shooting hoops and stuff and practicing.
Heck yes. I,
Yeah.
I, I can 100% relate. Now, you being an NBA fan and being somebody that started a little younger, what were the teams that drew you to the NBA or the players that drew you to the NBA when you started becoming a fan?
My first the first dude that I was like, this is my favorite player, and I love the NBA. Was Grant Hill, was
Uh,
was was Grant Hill. Like when he got drafted and came to Detroit, like I just maybe had it been somebody else in Detroit, maybe that would have been my favorite player. But I loved Grant Hill. That was my first like like my first jersey and all that stuff. Like it's yeah, I
yeah,
just was, but I was a nerd about it. I remember my grandma, um she got me this book came out in 1995. It was like the encyclopedia like for kids, but like NBA like historic like history facts, something like that. I know I just butchered it, but actually I showed Reels that book one time, and that's just a little shout out there. So if anybody's seen Reels, let us know. Let us
Good
know.
point.
Like for real, if anybody
Yeah.
has seen Reels, yeah, it's miss that guy. But it's besides the point. What was I saying? I'm sorry, dude.
No worries.
I'm sorry, dude.
We were just talking about the teams that got you here and the
Oh,
videos and stuff.
but
Yeah.
but so like the team that like that I feel like that I loved the most, that I felt like was my team. So I don't want to. I mean, when I was in high school, that's when the Pistons were winning. Well, that's when the 04 when I was my junior year in high school was when the Pistons won in 04. And then my senior year, they went to the finals again and played the Spurs in 7 games. So like throughout high school and playing ball in high school, like going to Piston games like as much as possible. Like I loved that squad. I remember like just from the very get-go when it was Joe Dumars saying, you know what, we're gonna part ways with Grant Hill, and in return, we're gonna get Chucky Atkins and this guy named Ben Wallace. And I legitimately remembering like I don't know who either of these two guys are, and like this is my favorite player. Like leaving, like he's just, and it was, but holy hell, if it like to talk about, I don't think anybody knew how dynamite that trade was gonna work out. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just, yeah, it's then Ben comes here, and Joe was like, hey, I think we're going to build this franchise on your shoulders. We're gonna be a defense first team, a defense first culture, and it starts with Ben, and then we're gonna build out from there. And yeah, bro, like that team, like even before Rashid, when we had Clifford Robertson, like Mehmet Okur, Tayshaun,
Mm.
Chauncey, when we had Chucky Atkins, Corliss Williamson. Um,
Oh,
I,
such
I,
an interesting squad.
bro, we had like we had Darvin Ham was part of that 04
Yeah.
Piston squad that won that championship. And it's funny because George Blaha, the Detroit's like our home announcer, like his nickname was Duncan Darvin. So like, and he hardly got playing time, but like George Blaha would sometimes be like, well, maybe we might see a sighting from Duncan Darvin tonight. And I don't know. It's just, it was always like, all right.
Oh, that's awesome. It's great the things that stick with us. I tell you, being a fan as long as I have, I think about like all the memories and the moments and the special things that the NBA has kind of delivered. I know some people aren't into sports, but you being someone that enjoys it, I mean, the moments are hard to
Dude,
capture in any other means, right?
I mean, it goes deeper than I think people want to either admit or talk about or just even see for what it is. Like the first game I ever went to was Miami Heat 1997. It was I was 10 years old. It was Miami Heat versus the Pistons. And so I being older now, if Grant Hill wouldn't have played that game, I would have been, as a fourth grader, what have you, I would have been
Right.
crushed, dude, crushed. But he played, and like that made my day. But it was like I love that Miami Heat team. That was one of my other, for whatever reason, favorite teams. Like that Pat Riley led, like that lineup of Alonzo Mourning, PJ Brown, Jamal Mashburn, Deshaun Leonard, Tim Hardaway. Then they had Dan Marley at like the sixth man coming off
Yes.
the bench. But that team was awesome. They had Ike Austin, which he was just a brute, dude. Keith Askins, like dude, like that was a squad. I really like that Miami Heat team.
Oh, shout
I've
out to that
always like,
Miami Heat squad.
bro. I've always like that Pat Riley sort of attitude, like because really, if you look at those early '90s Knicks teams, I think Pat saw what Chuck and the Pistons were doing, and those early '90s Knicks teams, like it's almost it's very similar to how Detroit played and
Mm.
just that attitude and stuff. Um, like that was a mean, good team. And I always say, and like people talk about like, everyone wants to go to the finals. I think a lot of times, year in and year out, sometimes the best series when the playoffs start might be just in the playoffs. It might
Mm.
be like the best series might be in Eastern Conference semifinals. It's yeah, because in
Absolutely.
those early '90s, people talk about like what was Jordan's competition in the finals. Da, 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 da. I think those playoffs against New York, those were the tests.
Yeah.
The Chicago, they couldn't play Detroit in the finals. So those playoff runs, like when they finally beat Detroit, when they finally beat those bad boys, it's like that was that was the championship, damn near, if you get what I'm saying. Um,
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% because that was what seemed like the peak of the competition was in that conference at the time. So
oh my
and
God,
you knew that like the Knicks were going to bring their A game against the Bulls. Like they wanted to beat the Bulls more than anything.
badly, dude. And then you have, and then and then you got a psychopath, like Pat Riley coaching. That's,
Mm.
he's, it's, I'm here to win. That's it. Like I am
Yeah,
here to win, and I mentally and emotionally, I will not accept otherwise. And
absolutely.
bro, those teams were nasty, man. I
All right.
loved Anthony Mason, man. Um,
That makes me
I've always been,
wonder.
huh?
I was gonna say
No,
no, this is a good segue. This is a good segue that you got it. So I was talking a little bit earlier about the viewership of the NBA and how it's
okay,
kind of changed. And you're a guy that, like me, we watched a lot of '90s basketball and watched a lot of basketball growing up. What do you think? Trying to be objectively or trying to be objective. What do you think as a fan maybe might be turning people off from today's game?
I well, this is I'll say something just for me. So
Sure.
I think about like watching film in school, like for our team, and coach stopping tape, playing tape, rewinding tape, and calling out what was a carrying, traveling, too many steps. It's all it's all I see.
Mm.
It's I just my head goes, that's insane. That's an insane carry. It's an obvious travel. However, um, it kind of, it is what it is. The
Mm.
rules kind of have always been slightly bending. Really, since, Iverson was the big one as far
Mm.
as like, man, this dude he's bringing the ball so far out. Like he's just literally pausing and then go. It's are we gonna call that? We got to call that sometimes. And
Right.
it's I guess, but that's really not. You can just cut that whole answer out if you don't mind, because that was a bad answer. Because I just went on my own little self thing, thinking like, well, that's a travel, but that's just me being old.
But it's not though. You say that as a bad answer, but I don't think it's old heads exclusively that
Well,
think that the rules are getting a little bit too offensive leaning, maybe.
well, I'll ask you this: when if you, I'm not a gamer. I don't play video games, but from my understanding, if the better you get at a game, you don't like take the difficulty level and make it easier.
Mm.
We got guys that I do believe, we have the best ball handlers we've ever seen. Guys that can shoot, do things. It's wild. These kids,
Mhm.
like from birth, have just been training like the correct way, um, efficiently. And I feel like I want to see them challenged more. I
Mhm.
want, you know when you see so many 40-point games, it loses its like. So it's kind of like, so what? Like,
Yes.
and this is coming from somebody, like I said, I went to school in the early 2000s. So like, dude, I was watching the Pistons, like we're just holding teams to like 60 points. And like, it's,
Yeah.
it's, it's, our leading scorer, like Rip Hamilton. I think there might have been one season where he might have averaged a little over 20 points, 1 or 2 seasons, but he was right around 20 points as our leading scorer. And I've watched so many games where it was like, damn, Rip had an awesome night and he dropped 25. And if somebody drops 25 today, like nobody thinks twice.
Nobody bats an
It's what
eye.
it's whatever. You know what I mean?
Do you think now with the addition of players like Chet
I'm
and Wemby and these guys that are kind of bringing the rim protection thing back, like, do you think like maybe there's like a defensive revolution on its way too? Like
there
is
needs
it
to be.
cyclical? Yeah, yeah.
There needs to be. Like it's not fair. It's not fair at a certain point to bend all of the rules so far in favor for the offensive player that you have your hands tied behind your back for defense. Like you are so yeah. It just makes it so hard to defend and to defend um where you're actually uh getting in somebody's area, getting in their space,
Hmm.
and not being called for it, but like being able to defend with, a little bit of like fervor, like just that energy, and just refs sometimes swallowing their whistles and being like, all right, we're gonna let the guys play. And
Mm,
I feel like, and I could be wrong, and it's unfortunate, but I feel like sometimes maybe, and maybe this has gone on throughout history, and for sure has, but it's you always hate to see a ref that starts to make the game about themselves
mm,
and make it personal and stuff. But I'm
mhm.
really going on some tangents. I'm giving you some good answers and some really bad ones.
It's
But
it's it's all the same. I appreciate
it's
it
it's
all the
all the
less.
same. Yeah, dude. Um, it's so funny. Like when I was talking to you, and I started getting a little bit of anxiety, being like, I feel so unprepared. Like, 'cause I wanted to either way. And now like my mind is just going a million miles an hour, and I'm just spouting out
all,
like
all,
just
all the NBA
everything.
stuff goes. This is why we appreciate you. This is why I want you here because I know it goes a
Well,
million miles an hour.
well, it's I do have a love for the history of the game,
Mm,
and growing up, like I love, people always talk about like, man, the 70s were the worst era, the worst decade of the NBA. And, my pops, I come like everybody in my family played basketball. In fact, in my family, out of my pops, my mom, and my sisters, like I'm the fourth ranked basketball player in our family. Yeah, dude, like I sat the bench at a very small D3 school, and both my sisters played at bigger schools, and so did my pops. So
oh, nice.
yeah, so it's I get teased a lot. It's always nice, like, yeah, it's
It's in the
upsetting still.
lifeblood.
I'm old, and it's still upsetting to me. My sister's
Yeah,
still rubbing in, but
well, the basketball's in the lifeblood though, so
it
at
is,
least
yeah.
there's a familial connection there too, which is pretty cool.
It is. The only person I can talk crap to is my mom, because she's fifth. She's fifth in the ranking in the family. So like
That's awesome.
they like my sisters and my pops, they they'll talk smack to me, and then I gotta be like, yeah, well, mom, what'd you do? It sounds silly, but it's sometimes how our
There's
conversations go.
nothing wrong with that. That's so
No, but
funny.
it's I tell you, dude, as far as um I've been asked like as far as how I feel about like women's basketball and stuff, and I tell you what, man, I laugh a lot when I hear people like really really start to trash women's basketball,
Mm,
because I tell you what, man, I, I feel like my sisters could take half of the guys that talk like that absolute noise. Like my
yeah,
sisters they can play, man. Like um yeah, it's um and I guess it's different, like as far as, because I was invested because it was my sisters. You know what I mean? So
sure.
like, and for sure that's, I'm watching it from a different sort of lens. But I like
that's an important lens to look it through, though, because I feel like that's the lens that some people don't look through, because some people don't necessarily understand how skilled, the female game
Oh,
is,
dude,
and it's so much underrating.
dude, it's insane. How good my sisters are at basketball. And I mean, I'll take them outside, play one-on-one. I'll dominate them because I have to, like,
Uh-huh.
just to let them know. But as far as just like they're just good. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and they got
Basketball's
to play for some
basketball.
like, yeah, man, and it was dope to watch them play, man. Like, yes, it's a different game than the guys' game, but like, it's I don't know, man. People are gonna be like, yeah, well, he was watching his sisters, but
But it's
I'm,
it's a
I'm
different game
glad that
because
I'm glad
it's
I have an
below the rim.
appreciation for it. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's below the rim. I feel like the women's game kind of maybe is a little bit closer to what the game used to be before it became such a high flying sport. So it's a little
Yes.
bit more fundamentally sound, and maybe that
Yes.
so maybe aesthetically people don't like it, but I feel like from just a basketball perspective, it's a very high quality material.
Well, these girls, they have to, in a certain sense, it's so much more important for them to be fundamentally sound because
Mm.
there's not many. It's you just can't take off of like your athleticism, like fill in the blanks, like a Dominic
Right.
Wilkins or like an Anthony Edwards or just a Zion Williamson at Duke. Like I remember, that's still. I'll argue that might still be one of the the greatest college mixtapes of all time. Might
Oh
be Zion
yeah.
or high school or
Absolutely.
it
Absolutely.
was when
That'll
dude.
get you hyped.
I was like, what is going on? Like, I just remember thinking, like, thank God, like I didn't play like in like his conference or at the same time he was in high school. Like,
Oh, could you
oh my God,
imagine?
I couldn't imagine having to go into like his gym and just get absolutely just yeah, that was
Yeah,
yeah,
get you humbled real quick, I imagine.
dude. Yeah, no, Zion was a he was that was something special
Oh,
for a
that's
minute.
great.
But I wish I hope I hope he has a big turnaround for his career. I really do.
Now, see, I hear that he's about to miss some time. Sadly, I just saw
I
another
know.
little leg injury. But now that's a good segue. I like the way that you work because I did want to get into the current NBA a little bit.
Yeah, you
There's
do.
there's
I know.
been some.
I'm yeah.
Oh, dude, don't even sweat it, my guy. Don't even sweat it. You're good. You're good. No, like there's been some interesting stuff that happened so far. The Phoenix Suns are 7-1. The Golden State Warriors are 7-1. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 8-0. These teams, like Cleveland, for example, like, do you see Cleveland as a legit contender with Mitchell and Garland, or do you think this is just kind of maybe a little upstart go for them?
I think these upstarts like this, I think that's got to be more of a trend in this past decade than
Mm,
I think any time before. As far as, um, I mean, your big name stars, there. I mean, they're taking it easy at the beginning of the season. It's nobody wants to have a big injury like first game in or anything like that. But
sure,
it's it's different. I think like it's a lot of teams sometimes don't even really kick it into gear like to like midway through the season, almost till like it feels like to like All-Star weekend. All of a sudden it's
yeah.
just like, man, we gotta lock in. We got not many games left to get ourselves a seed. Um,
That's definitely true. You see that very often, and I'm curious if, like, obviously Boston is very dominant, but other than that, I feel like because the West is so tough, there's not really a lot of teams that can kind of let up a lot.
no, no, I wholeheartedly agree with that, and I think no, that's yeah, it's well said. I have nothing to add on to that. I
Yeah,
agree.
no, no, it's definitely, and Now, when it comes to some of these guys that have underperformed now, starting we talk about like Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Bucks with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Why is this duo not working as well as we want it to work? They're too good to fail, right?
I was happy for Dame. Like
Mm,
I mean, he gave he gave Portland as a lot of time, a lot of years.
yeah.
And I really like that was my favorite thing about him. And he had always been one of my favorite players. Just I kind of like it. It's an old school mentality to have. As far as
Mm,
I'm not going anywhere. Like, this is my city, this is my team. Like, if I'm gonna win, damn it, I'm gonna try to win here. And I like um that mentality. And Dame really, after Steph, was, as far as someone that you saw consistently pull up for uncomfortably long threes.
mm.
I thought Dame was that second person. That's like he's routinely pulling up like outrageously deep.
Right.
Um, like, yeah, very my gas light went on.
Oh, you're good.
Sorry. I don't know why. Do I feel more comfortable like in my car than like sitting in my stupid little house? But yeah, dude, the
Nothing worry
car's
about
very.
that. I understand that 100%. I do the same
Thanks,
thing,
man.
my
You're
guy.
gonna have to title this episode, yeah, ADHD with Jake or
Right.
something. This is I'm all over the place, man. You're gonna have to edit this
Oh,
in
it's
some kind
good.
of cool
It's
way.
good. What about
It's
okay, I talked about the Bucks. How about 76ers, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. This trio on paper looks good. Are we gonna
on
ever see
paper,
them
man.
play? Like I feel like we're never gonna see the three of them even on the court at the same time.
I mean, it's and that's and it's a combination of, I think there's just, it's so unfortunate
Mm,
when the players that come around, like like a Greg Oden, the things that happened to, like, Brandon Roy and guys that just got injured way, way, way too quick. A Penny Hardaway, a Grant Hill, where I mean, Grant Hill, the comeback he made was nothing short of phenomenal, of
mm,
coming back and being a solid role player for Phoenix and
mhm,
kind of for LA. But like those Phoenix days, like that was really, to me, that was his big comeback. I mean, in those 2010 Western Conference Finals, like, he had the job of guarding Kobe, and even though
mhm.
Kobe was playing just out of his mind, like, I mean, Grant was, I mean, just moving well, sticking with them, and um just making it as tough as you can for a Kobe Bryant that is on fire. So it's you can only do so much. But
I was
um
just gonna say in that situation, yeah, Grant did what he
yeah, but
could. I mean, I
but yeah,
you think that you compare them in the sense that like Embiid is Embiid, despite what he's done, is he kind of a what if because he's never healthy in the playoffs?
so the player, when anytime like I think about situations like this, like, I always have to go back to Bill Walton.
Mm,
I'm the biggest. I love Bill Walton. I on another day we'll have to talk about this. Because I firmly believe, dude, if Bill Walton stays healthy, he doesn't get injured, stays on that Portland team, that same Portland team, where as a collective, like, Bill is having his day against the likes of Kareem in that Western Conference. He stays in Portland, right? That changes the whole landscape of what the 80s looks like, because
mm,
Bill Walton was, in my opinion, that first, like, really, really good passing big men. And people are going to bring up,
yes.
I can already hear it. People are bringing up centers before him that were good passers from the post. Bill Walton was, I think, the first special one where
Mm,
it's his court awareness right when he got the ball, elbows out, and just that quick survey. I mean, and Jack Ramsey in Portland, I mean, that people were just cutting all the time. There was constant movement, and Bill was so good at hitting the open man, regardless of who it was. He's phenomenal. He would have been an insane load to deal with for Moses, for Kareem,
Mm,
for Robert Parrish. I don't. Hey man, hey, I'm telling you, Portland. It's the '80s looks so different. I have to believe that Magic doesn't have 5 rings.
yeah,
Because I believe in those early, especially in the early '80s. Like I believe Portland could have gotten a few. Like that
yeah.
was there were a squad, a great coach, great culture, um, and I mean, yeah, it just it's but
Health, man. I
sorry,
tell you, no. It's just it's a good point in the sense that health determines so much. Like we're gonna get to a point where we're getting near the end of Joel Embiid's legacy, and people want him to be like this top 10 center of all time, but like when we look at this playoff record and what he's done in the playoffs and the drop offs and stuff and the injuries and stuff, like I just I don't know. Like there's a part of me that doesn't want to say it, but knows that Philadelphia fans might look at this process and look at Joel Embiid and just think it was a big disappointment.
yeah, and I mean, we can all and a a a healthy Joel Embiid playing at his best, it's
Hmm.
frightening. It's damn near
Hmm.
frightening when he's not foul baiting or just falling like a toddler. I'm sorry. That's edit that out, please.
That's
Um,
fine.
that was a stupid thing to say. Man, I'm really hit or miss right now. Mostly miss, but no, it's at his best when he's playing at his full. Dude, he's scary good. He's
Mm,
scary good.
mm,
Um, but
absolutely.
it's for whatever reason, it's he's got like his. I mean, it's like an Anthony Davis type of thing
Yeah.
where it's just like,
Yep.
why are your bones so brittle? It's not the case.
Hmm.
That's another stupid thing. Edit that out, please. I'm
That's okay. That's okay.
just
That's
riffing.
Data Davis is. I've just been glad to see Anthony Davis playing well this season, even though I hate to hear that he apparently it just came out that he's got plantar fasciitis. So
It's
I'm not
rough.
sure what that's gonna do, but yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's wild that I know this, but of course I do. So throughout the '04 playoffs, Rasheed Wallace had plantar fasciitis, and
Mm,
like that was always like the big talk. And like I just remember, like it 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 affected him a little bit, but it was just you can I guess it depends. I'm no doctor. What am I trying to do? Given sort of, I don't know how bad it is. I really don't even know the full scope of truly what plantar fasciitis even is. But
sure.
yeah,
But
here I
it's
am.
just
Yeah,
one of those. It's just one of those things that I feel like it's just that luck. You mentioned the Walton, the Hills, all those just luck plays
look,
such a
Penny
huge
Hardaway.
factor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and that was my second, like my first two favorite players. Like my second jersey that I got, my grandma got me, was a Penny Hardaway jersey,
Nice.
and it's yeah, dude. Like once those two got injured, like they came back, but it wasn't it was they were. I mean, they went from being like two of the best players by in the league without
Mhm,
question. I'm not saying they were
mhm.
the best, but they were in like they were who they were. Duh,
Right,
don't
they
get
were
me
in
started.
that tier, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they went from that and they get injured, and the best they got even back to, which Grant did more than Penny, was just a, a role player, like just
Mhm.
playing
And it's tough because those guys,
they were
Derrick
franchise players.
Rose, Derrick
Derrick
Rose, obviously,
Rose, holy
he just
cracker
just
barrel, dude.
retired. I mean, that guy, I mean, it's hard not to just genuinely feel bad or awful about that hand that he was dealt.
So I'll tell you this, man. Dude, 100%. So um, I live in Michigan, right? So
Mm,
I didn't want it. It's why if you see a lot of Detroit stuff more often than not in my content, it's just that's where I'm from. That's where I live. But back when I was in school, And like when people still had like cable TV and stuff, we still like we would get some like Chicago like channels that would come in through
Yeah.
Michigan. And so one of the channels was whatever their home network was, like that showed like all the home Bulls games, like whatever it was. So like I just once I started watching Derrick Rose play, I could, dude, I loved watching Derrick Rose play. He
Mm.
was I his athleticism, it almost didn't make sense to me. Like it was jarring at some of these cuts and moves he would make because it's like that's I'm like I would have I would have pulled every muscle in my body trying to do
Right.
everything he's doing. It's and like it's just the torque that like it's just it's yeah it's
It was
unreal athleticism. And
phenomenal. Yeah. And to see it just have that moment where it just all kind of tumbled down. It's so rough because he just you feel like we all got slighted
yeah,
because we all saw that flash in the pan that was just wow, this guy can be
this is
look at him
different.
put this yeah,
Like
exactly. This
we've
is
seen
different.
yeah we've seen aspects of this, but this guy as an entity, Derrick Rose,
Mhm.
this is a different cat. This
Exactly.
guy is moving differently. Um, like I said, there's been a lot of athletic point guards throughout the years, but it's a different sort of athleticism.
Yep.
Like when I talk about that torque, yeah, it's like, and I don't mean to bring up football at all, but it's kind of like the Barry Sanders athleticism, where it,
Mhm.
it's it almost it's like that doesn't like the how hard they torque their body when they move, like those those reflexes are so insane. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, like I said, I see that and I'm like, yeah, I would never be. Hope everybody's okay.
No.
um, uh,
But it's
sorry,
it's it's one of no, you're good, you're good. And now we got on a
ambulance.
tangent there, so I did want to go on to some of
Please
the
do, yeah.
younger no, some of the younger teams. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 7-1. They've only lost once against Denver. SGA MVP candidate Chet Holmgren, a super number 2, and then they have Jalen Williams, a tough team all the way through. Do you think
I like this.
OKC
Yeah,
do you think they're still a little too young, or do you think that they just have too much talent? They're gonna compete no matter what.
I think they're going to compete no matter what, but like a lot of like a lot of professional sports, you know, what do they say in reality? What locations, everything where you end up, where you go, the franchise that you're at, what culture is there, which is so funny about Detroit. It's as if we sold our souls just so we could have a good football team finally, because it's lost, man. Like I grew up, like just you know, my pops like talking about the bad boys and just that whole run and because when I was growing up, like my dad did not like Michael Jordan or Larry Bird, so so like so all those years before, like before Detroit was just getting rid of Chicago in the playoffs. Before that, Boston was just getting rid of Detroit. And that the Eastern Conference was so insane. I know we talked about that earlier, but like it was like once Detroit finally got over Boston, then it was like Detroit's run, and then Chicago took it over, and then the whole I'm really going off on tangents here. Um, Lost my point. Lost.
OKC,
Oh, forgot.
OKC.
OKC location. Where did I? How did I end up there? Holy, holy cow! I'm sorry, dude.
No, dude, you're good.
That's
So funny.
insane. Yeah, that had nothing to do with what you asked. God bless anybody who's listening and being patient. Thank you for.
I appreciate every single one of them. They know what we're getting into. We like to have fun at the Creator Hour. That's what we do, my guy. No
Yeah,
worries.
everybody
Uh,
listening right now. I swear to you, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I promise you, I am so much smarter than I am coming off right now. I promise you guys. I swear. I swear.
uh, okay, well
But
then moving on to the next squad here. I want to talk about what about the Golden State Warriors are 7-1, and they just beat the Boston Celtics. Golden State has had Boston's number for a while. Steph Curry still, playing well. I mean, despite not having Klay Thompson.
just was gonna say that. That's the most.
Yeah, it's an interesting squad without Clay. You'd think that the culture might have changed a little bit, but they're keeping the winning ways going. I mean, you have to be impressed with Golden State, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's there is when you win like they did in such a short amount of time.
Mm,
Yeah, man, especially with the same, for the most part, the
mhm,
same core.
mhm,
It's yeah, man. It's you are a you are a dynasty. Like you
yeah,
are, and it's so many teams fall so short. Like I would love to call the Bad Boys Pistons a dynasty. Like
mhm,
we were one game away from three-peating, and I could go all. We could have a whole podcast. We could have a 3-hour show about how I feel about the 1988 finals and
uh-huh,
just some of the hogwash I felt that was going on and how I felt that um I don't think they were ready. I don't think they wanted Detroit as champions just yet. There was just some shenanigans because Isaiah Thomas did everything a man could humanly do in that game
mhm.
6. I know, it's yeah, probably that Willis Reed, like that, like those two. That's those two moments are like that's
That
maybe is what is missing from today a little bit. Is it's
that's
like
it's interesting you say that. Yeah, like, do you think it's like a uh, did I hate to like simplify it so much, and this is gonna kind of sound ignorant maybe, but do you think players used to care more?
yes, yeah. It's and it's as simple as um th- the further you go back, like the less lavish of a lifestyle
Mm,
um they lived, by just playing this game,
mm,
and when you start really stripping down a lot of that lavish stuff that's unnecessary, you know,
mm,
um, it's let me start over. When you're given all of that, when you're given everything, it's hard. That's when you get people like, well, why would we're not going to play hard for an all-star game. Who
right,
cares about
right.
I mean, you hear as far as who cares about the regular season is the regular season. Who cares about
Mhm,
that? It's it's no one preseason's not even a thing to people anymore. Um,
yeah.
like I remember avidly watching every preseason game of Detroit's like for year after year after year, and like it was just a telling. I don't know. It was like either way, going off on a tangent there.
No, no, no. It's curious because do you think that the NBA suffers from this individually, or do you think it's just all major sports now, maybe
I
because of the
I
lavish
think
lifestyle?
I think it's I think there are players because to say that there's nobody that playing that there are some tough dudes playing without a
Mm,
doubt. Like
sure.
that there's always going to be a group of guys because that's you can't teach that kind of you can't teach grit. You can't teach like just your ability to just play through pain. And that's
Mm,
the big thing, playing through pain. I think the further you go back, players were I think there was I don't want to say awarded, but it's like they allowed you. If you said you were good to go,
mhm,
you were gonna play. There's nothing that was gonna stop you. I mean,
right.
Willis Reed walked out in 1970 just hobbling and
Mhm,
does what he can, but I mean he really has no impact except for a spiritual and emotional impact. And
Mm-hmm.
just by, I mean, anybody else, they're not walking out there. They don't, it's that the Isaiah thing. I, it's amazing how many times Isaiah has gotten injured, and for some reason, all of a sudden, his game gets better. And I've never
Mm-hmm.
like it's insane. Like he gets
Well,
hurt, he gets pissed, and all of a sudden, it's like he just gets even more locked in. It's
I remember I think it was Larry Bird. I remember I heard some one time too. He was talking about how like some guys miss, sprain their finger and they'll miss like a week, and then some guys sprain their finger and they'll miss like a month and a half. It's just people are built differently.
one of my favorite Larry Bird quotes. It's a short one, but and this applies to basketball and life, and it goes, "If you get paid to go to work, you got to go to work."
Yeah, that's yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it.
That's pretty. It's pretty
It's as
simple.
simple as that. Like, you
Hmm.
know, uh, and but I also think I think staffs, training staffs, all them people that started with the whole um resting players for the
Hmm.
playoffs.
Load
Why am I
management and stuff.
blanking? Yeah, yeah. I just think that players are less. They're just, if they're in any kind of pain, like they're
Hmm.
just being told you know, to sit out, take some
Yeah,
time off. If you're in a
yeah.
little bit of pain, like heal up, heal up. And I think
Hmm.
guys back then, it was. I mean, I don't think John Stockton would even understand that phrase. And
I
I'd have to
know.
bring him up only for the simple fact that that's a dude that's like, come hell or high water. Hey, this guy's showing up to work. I
He's
mean,
playing. What was it? What was it 16 seasons of 82 games? Like just.
there was one stretch where he got injured where he missed just a handful of games in a row.
Hmm.
But
That's it.
it's
All right.
if
I didn't realize that we're getting close here, so I want to play a little game with you before we get out of here.
oh
We're
man, dude,
we're
we could
getting
do
we're
like
getting
three
near the
hours.
end. I know, right?
I know I'm
I
getting excited. I was so pumped. I'm gonna be after this is over. I'll be thinking about all the things I should have said and how stupid
that's
of the things I did say. But keep going. Sorry, I don't
that's
want to waste.
exactly how. No, no, no. That's exactly how it works. You know that you've done a successful job if you afterwards are like, wait a
Yeah,
second, what did I just say?
yeah, yeah.
No, no. We're just playing a little game. Quick one, easy one. I'm gonna name off the record. I'm gonna name off the team, and I just want simple and straightforward. Is this team for real, or is this team hype? That's it. That's all I need. Hype or for real. We are starting with some teams that we've talked about. The Cleveland Cavaliers at 8-0. Hype or are they for real?
I'm gonna go with real.
Go with real with the Cleveland Cavaliers. All right, I like it.
Why
I like it.
not, dude? Why not? If the Detroit Lions can make something of themselves now, why not Cleveland? Do it
I,
without
I
LeBron.
I was just gonna say I love to see them do it without LeBron. It's
It'd
pretty
be great.
fun.
It would, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to root for all those guys over there. So all
Got
right, all
to.
right. How about Phoenix Suns? They're 7-1. Is Phoenix real or are they gonna putter out?
They're gonna do more than putt around. I don't. That doesn't make sense. They're gonna putt around. They're gonna putt around.
Putter out. Yep, yeah. You don't think they're very great. I
I
now. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, as you would say, on
Sure.
paper, holy guacamole, man. On paper, these guys look phenomenal. But
Yeah,
we've seen iterations of this team and you know them getting to the finals and playing against Milwaukee. That was great. That was a great season. You
sure.
know, um, Chris Paul had a lot to do with it for sure.
Mhm.
That was a big,
Mhm.
a big presence for Phoenix.
Yeah.
Um, as far as just a solid veteran voice.
Yep.
Um,
He's done a lot for
but
San Antonio already too. So
but
shout out CP3.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
All
Shout
right,
out
all right.
CP3.
Shout out CP3. Okay, so we'll move down the list. The New York Knicks have been interesting. Are the New York Knicks with Karl Anthony Towns? Are they for real?
For this is for reals. For reals, they're real, and
Oh
that's what I'm
yes.
going with.
Shout out Reels wherever
Shout
you
out
are.
reals. Reals, New York's real, bro. It's
Right.
I think they could be the real deal. I don't know. I want them to be. That would be dope. And it's I mean they play at Madison Square Garden, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's
Do you like the cat thing? How did you feel when that cat thing went down?
numb to I
Yeah,
think how I feel about most trades. I
sure.
think I'm just it's just so there's just so often. So
Mhm.
it's and I should be doing more of my due diligence of keeping track of what's going on better than I have. But um
Please. There's too
yeah,
many
man,
things going on, man.
it's dude, it's hard, man. I'm telling you, anybody that's living in Michigan, it's dude, the Pistons could be the best team in the NBA right now, and nobody, telling you, dude, nobody would care. It is
Yeah,
all about the Lions here. Like it is,
yeah.
that's the only thing anybody and I'm not gonna lie, it's this is a pretty exciting time, but this is not football, but either
Oh,
way.
please don't. The Lions, the Lions have never been good, so they're allowed to get
Never,
special shout out.
never.
They
My
can get
entire
little
life,
shout outs
my
here and
my
there.
pops, his entire life, like
Yeah.
it's never.
We'll
And
we'll,
we've
we'll
had some
give
of the
them a
best
moment.
players. Yeah, but yeah, so it's cool, man. It's cool. Just rooting for a team for you know e- almost for 4 straight decades, and finally it's like all right, it's worth it now. This is what
Absolutely.
rooting
Finally
for
get
that
here.
hometown team feels like. It's you gotta grind through your team with when they're losing. You gotta stick with them. You know.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
But either
do.
way,
Even
that's
the
that's of
region.
course. But
Oh,
yeah,
no
it's
worries.
But go
So
ahead.
I
What was
guess
I
no. We're moving
you
down the line here a little bit. We
Miami
see
Heat?
we
Are
got.
you gonna ask me about Miami Heat?
I hadn't got to Miami, but Miami's a good one because I think they're weird. What do you think
So
about
I
Miami?
think and um they might be the worst thing that's happening in the NBA right now. And this is
Hmm.
specifically for Samson. I don't know if you know Heat Culture,
Hmm.
that guy
Yeah.
who's always spreading this Heat culture propaganda, and it's nonsense.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to him knowing it and hearing this. And it's I don't think they're real, and no time soon do I see any sort of good fortune for the Miami Heat.
Mm. I
Unfortunately.
know. I think their window is probably closed. Yeah. And,
For
and
for I mean,
honestly,
I would be, yeah, if they're still, yeah, I would, yeah. I can see
I,
them selling the team to a different city.
I just I didn't see them even being as good as they were the last few years. Like Jimmy Butler. I mean, props to Jimmy Butler for turning into playoff Jimmy Butler. I mean, Miami's been an 8th seed. They haven't been a strong regular season team. And when you have Butler, I guess you're allowed to be that way because he'll do things for you.
Yeah, there's because there's a player that I was informed of and told to look up and watch him play is this Haywood Highsmith
Mm,
fella.
mm,
And I tell you what, man, um, I think he is a pretty underrated player. I think there's a
mm.
lot of things offensively that he's lacking for the most part.
Sure.
Um, but I think he's got phenomenal hands. I think he's a great rebounder. I think his from interior to perimeter, his defense is I think is very, very good. Um, I think when he's out there on the court, I think their defense picks up a notch. Um,
Yeah.
he he's he is locked. If you watch him, he's locked in on the defensive end at damn near every possession, and that's I tell you what, man. As far as watching players and seeing how locked in they are at possession in, possession out,
Hmm.
it's there's a lot of it does
Lot to
yeah.
like about Haywood. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we are closing on the end of the show here. I have thoroughly appreciated having you here, Jake.
I
I
know, man. I wish I could have done a better job for you, buddy. I'm
Oh,
sorry, dude.
dude, you did great. You did great. The last thing we need from you is just where do people find you? What is the best way to find you, and where do we see your content?
Just, I mean, you know, on here, if you find it on TikTok, I've had the same profile picture the entire time. Um, I haven't changed my bio the entire time. Um, if you yeah, man, if you find me, dope. It's there's no real sort of agenda or anything. It's just more or less I wanted to make something The community, like every community, it needs just something where it's just you can just scroll and watch basketball and not
Yes.
hear opinions. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I kind of wanted to, and there's a lot of people doing it way better than me. You know, but it's I like that. It's a nice little breather as far as within the community. And I will sign off by, I want to say this. Does it cut off at a minute exactly?
No, you're good.
Okay. It's you've heard me say this, man, and I feel like if we had to vote for an MVP of the NBA TikTok community, like you would win hands down. You would get the majority of the votes because I've brought this topic up randomly to random people, and it's funny, man. Everybody feels the same way about you, and it's yeah, dude. It's we for all the toxicity. Sorry, system of a down. Stupid. That's stupid. For all the toxic nonsense that can be within every community, right? Like it's you're probably arguably the most like wholesome, one of the most wholesome dudes like we have for balance. Like it's just we need that balance. Like if you weren't here, it's like, man, this community would it would get rough. But
Man, well,
oh man, dude, it's you are appreciated by so many people. Like I just want you to know that I've brought you up a lot, and every time I've brought you up, everybody kind of mimics the same sentiment. Like, dude, everybody just loves you, man. Like and I think that's pretty cool. And I'm glad to know you, man. And I hope you let me back on the show again sometime down the road, because I'll do a better job. Again, I'm sorry to everybody listening. I'll do better. I'll do better next time. I swear. Like I'll be smarter.
This has been great. This has been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you, Jake. Thank you for the kind words. You guys have validated me a ton, so I genuinely appreciate it. And to everybody watching the show, this was Hoop Social Presents the Creator Hour. We will be appearing next Friday at 8 p.m. on the Sports Fluent TV network. Hope you guys have an excellent rest of your night. Have a good one.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.